at a very in-depth level at the age of 7 or 8 years old, listening to this man on the radio who he ended up studying about and from so many years later. Les Brown today is a world-class motivational speaker and a generous and philanthropic helpmate to many people. He gives back in direct proportion to what he received in life. He believes in the reciprocal law of giving and receiving. And so he received so much in his life, and now he's there to give back to so many people. The genuine part of ourselves is what we tap into in order to have a prosperous and healthy experience of life. In Mark 11:24, Jesus proclaimed one of the most powerful expressions to the law of positive expectation. I don't know if the title was up there today, but Jesus said, whatever you pray about and ask for, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. In this teaching called The Science of Mind, we do something called spiritual mind treatment. And this statement that Jesus said exemplifies what spiritual mind treatment is about. It's about affirmative prayer. Believe that you have received it. And that's the whole premise behind spiritual mind treatment. Years ago, we had a women's group when I was at the Granada Hills Church. It was probably 10 years ago. Turned out that was actually predicated on a Ponzi scheme. Although we didn't, you know what a Ponzi scheme is? Yeah, okay. Yeah, something I wouldn't be involved with if I'd known it was a Ponzi scheme. But I was very involved with this. And we didn't know that we were doing something illegal when it was formed. It just seemed like a really, really wonderful way for women to help other women financially. And of course, when we found out it was illegal and many women in Northern California were getting arrested, we disbanded very quickly. We stopped doing it. But one of the highlights was when they had some of these women on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And then I really knew we were in trouble because now the whole world knows what we were doing, right? But before that happened, some really, really wonderful things happened out of this women's group. It was just an incredible opportunity for all of us to be able to share time and space with one another. And it was not unlike what you might call a mastermind group. And we would go around the room, and sometimes there would be as many as 40 women there. And we would go around the room, and if Joyce were sitting next to me, she would be my partner. And I would turn to her and ask her what is it that she desired to experience. And she would tell me, and I would make a declaration of truth for her about that. And then so on all the way around the room. One of the women in the group said that I have a beautiful 4-bedroom home on the beach in Malibu. And that was her declaration. She made it positive, precise, personal, and present, which is the 4 P's of affirmative prayer. And her mother, her partner would say, I see that for you, and I know it is your divine right, or something to that effect, right? So this particular day, Jeannie, we'll call her that. Let's protect her anonymity, but her name was really Jeannie. She'd invited her 80-year-old Italian Catholic mother to participate in the group for that day. Jeannie made her demonstration, or her declaration of what she wanted to see demonstrated in her life. I live in a beautiful palatial 4-bedroom house on the beach in Malibu, and I have this beautiful view, and she went on to some extent. And so after it was over, I stayed back with Jeannie to help her clean up, and her mom was there yelling at her, telling her that she was definitely going to hell for lying in front of those women about having a 4-bedroom house in Malibu. Now, this woman obviously didn't get the premise of the law of positive expectations. she didn't quite understand the point, as most people don't, maybe who don't have any idea of what affirmations mean and how they're intended to play out. So our idea of spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer does not beseech or supplicate a God that's out there somewhere in an uncertain and kind of chancy way. We have an expectation, a positive expectation that when we do our spiritual mind treatment, that something definite is happening, and something is happening right now in the present moment. As Pradervan says in his book, the activation of a universal principle, spiritual mind treatment, I'm using his definition from the book because it's so perfect. He says, it is the activation of a universal principle of infinite good, which, to manifest itself, depends upon the integrity of our motives and an intelligent understanding of the law itself. The integrity of our motives. What's the intention behind our wanting to demonstrate something wonderful in our lives? Intention is what is back of everything. Like I said last Sunday, it's the part of us that gives direction to our lives. So the question today is, what is the integrity of our motives, and do we really understand this law? It is a law that is impersonal. It just simply says yes to whatever a defined idea that I place into that law. Ernest Holmes tells us that we live in a universe of infinite good that exceeds our wildest dreams and our most outrageous imagination. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where we say, wow, that's unbelievable. But no, we should be saying, wow, that's believable. And when whatever I desire, I place into the law of mind, and it is acted upon with precision and perfection. And when the intention back of it is lofty in its proportion, as I said, I cannot stop God from showering its blessings upon me. Can't stop it. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't have to know how. I just know it's happening right here and right now, and all I have to do is make it welcome. All I have to do is make it welcome. Our job as believing individuals is to provide the avenue through which I am a welcome recipient of this good. And here's the rub, as Shakespeare said. What is my level of receptivity? That's the question. How receptive am I? You'd think after all these years that my level of receptivity would be higher than some, maybe. But when my friend Mark, whom I stayed with in Hawaii, gifted me with a beautiful piece of jewelry from his mother's estate, I had a moment's pause. Well, actually, probably more like 3 days. It was more than a moment. Before I could actually accept his blatant generosity. It was a funny thing for me. You know, I knew the intention back of why he wanted to give it to me, but there was a part of me that thought, this is too much. This is way too much for me. But I got over it. And I took it to the jeweler, I got it sized, and I wore it last week at one point. Have we created a glass ceiling to the good that we can accept in life? And if so, how's that working for us? You know, is there a part of anyone's life here today that could be better? Yes, we live a tremendously wonderful life here in this community of Westlake Village, Thousand Oaks, Newbury Park. We live a wonderful life, comparatively speaking, I suppose, to other people in the world. And yet, maybe there's a part of us that would like to experience something better, or something different, or something more exciting. So this is why we have practitioners. Do we do our prayer work in the hope that that something is going to change? If so, Ernest Holmes says that hope is the subtle illusion and the unconscious compromise. We don't hope, we know. When I decide that I want to affect some sort of change in my life, I do my treatment with the intention that something is going to change for the better. And I accept that right now in the present moment. How it shows up or when it shows up is up to the powers that be, but it also has to do with my receptivity. What I've discovered over the last few years of being in this teaching is that in order for us to practice this law of positive expectation, we have to release anything unlike it in our lives. Now that's the tough part for some of us. Someone created a guideline to what really needs to go in order for us to be open, an open vessel for God's good to show up in our lives. And if you see yourself in any of these, and you wonder why life isn't working in the way that you want it to work, this might be a clue. There are 10 of them. And it's called the 10 of Zen. I love it. In order to be receptive to the positive, I have to eliminate the negative. Ooh, song. No, I have to eliminate the negative and let go of, number 1, comparing. No comparison in the mind of God. I don't ever get to compare my life to somebody else's life because we don't know what's really going on for that other person. Number 2 is competing. There is no competition in the mind of God. I don't compete for anyone with anything, for anything. It's a wonderful thing not to have to worry about doing that anymore. The third thing is judgments. Letting go of judgments. If I am judgmental, it has to have emotion attached to it because that's the way judgment works. Maybe what I need to do is reframe that word and say I have discernment. Or I might be making an observation. Maybe I'm not really judgmental at all. I might just simply be making an observation. Think about that a little bit. The fourth thing I get to let go of is regrets. Anything that happened in the past that I might have regret or remorse about, let go of it. Let it go, let it be. It happened, get over it. That's just the way it is. Letting go of anger. Now, anger has doesn't change anything in the physical reality. It's only a catalyst for change. You've heard me say that before. When I feel angry, what I get to do is investigate it and see what part of me feels that I might lose something. Loss of dignity, loss of self-respect, whatever that is. Anger is a big one for some people. I was married to someone for years who was angry enough for both of us. I didn't have to be angry, right? And then he wasn't there anymore. Guess what? The number one thing I had to work on, my anger. And I still work on it on a regular basis. Number 6 is worrying. Mark Twain said, I've worried about 1,000,000 things in my life, most of which never came to pass. So we worry unnecessarily about things. How is that supposed to be helpful to someone for us to worry about things, right? Do you think that makes it better? No, it doesn't. Number 7 is blame. Give up pointing the finger out there because I get to take responsibility in here. And again, when we practice Ho'oponopono, it's please forgive me for whatever it is in me that has created this in you. I don't get to blame anyone or anything for what's going on in my life. Guilt is number 8. Guilt is the most immobilizing emotion we can have. It's always about something in the past. Can't do anything about it. Might as well accept it and surrender to a new idea. The 9th one is fear. Fear, as defined in most 12-step programs, is false evidence appearing real. It's always about the future. And as I talk about in class, first-year class, you know, if fear is always about the future anyway, we can't do anything about the future. Somebody said, you know, a Buddhist, Dalai Lama probably, because it sounds like something he would have said, that the people in the Western Hemisphere seem to be very tense all the time. Past tense and future tense. You know, I get it. Very few of us live in the present. And fear is about the future for sure. Unless, of course, there happens to be a grizzly bear in the middle of the room and you fear for your personal safety. So those are the 9 things. I'm not going to tell you about the 10th for a couple of minutes here. When all these inhibitors to our positive expectations are eliminated, we then have the opportunity to be open channels for God's good to flow through us. There are no impediments. All those emotions are impediments to God's good flowing through us. You said it, kiddo. Years ago, Terry Cole Whitaker's ministry had people all over the country sporting bumper stickers that said, do you remember this? Prosperity is my divine right. Remember that? Yeah? Okay. So while it is true, prosperity is our divine right, most of the people who got helped by those bumper stickers were the ones behind us at the red light, right? We forgot they were on our cars. And it was a little kind of like that bumper sticker that said, honk if you love Jesus. Remember that one? Well, there were many times when I honked, and there was a good chance that I got the universal signal by somebody who forgot they had the bumper sticker on their car. And, but I digress. You know how that worked. Today, why don't we start by affirming gratefully and with joyful conviction, divine love, acting on the law of attraction throughout the universe, brings into my life exactly what I need to experience, grow, and progress in the present moment and to fill the cup of my joy now. What a great affirmation, right? How about if we say that together? And you can repeat after me. Divine love. Divine love. Acting on the law of attraction. Throughout the universe. Brings into my life exactly what I need. To experience, grow, and progress. In the present moment. And to fill the cup of my joy now. It's a great affirmation. We have powers we never dreamed of. We can do things we never thought we could do. And there are no limitations in what we can do except the limitations of our own mind. And for those who have waited patiently for number 10, last in the 10 for Zen, would you all please stand up? Because this is so congruent with what Joyce said this morning. Laughter, as we all know, gets the endorphins kicked in. And today, let's end this message with a good belly laugh. You don't have to think about anything funny. Just start laughing. Oh, look at yourselves. Oh, what? Oh. Sit down. And we'll end this by saying together, with God, all things are possible. That's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Will you join me in consciousness, please? I know people want to clap, but I'm going to move right into the treatment because I know that this joy, this laughter is the healing property of the universe. That when we laugh, we create an energy that is so all-consuming from the top of our heads to the bottom of our feet. And laughter is the panacea for what ails us in any way, shape, or form, whether it's mental, emotional, spiritual. When we laugh, we are connected to spirit in such a way that there is joy and celebration in the physical body and the body of our affairs. And so it is today that the admonition is not to take ourselves so seriously, that the law of positive expectation is one of joy and anticipation for that which God has in store for us. I know that as I joyfully receive that which I am receptive to, that God in its infinite wisdom creates more of the same. And it primes the pump for goodness in all forms to show up in my life. Right relationships, abundant, vital, good health, wonderfully creative expression in a way that stirs the soul and the passion of the person involved. And it also creates the flow of money in our lives. That I am so convinced of God's good in my life that I expect to receive in ways that I couldn't possibly have determined on my own. So I allow for that life's positive expectations, the law of positive expectation, to be at the forefront in everything I say and everything I do today. That as I open up to a greater idea, I know that I am blessed in myriad and beautiful ways today. I joyfully receive and give thanks, as always, for the good that God has in store for me. And I simply allow it to flow and flow and flow. And I stand in the river of goodness, of Godness, knowing that it is right and perfect for me today, as we joyfully say together, and so it is. And we have beautiful music again.